Jennie, welcome. I'm so grateful to have you here in our C2 call this morning to share your recent blog post. And before we get started, let me first give you all a little more insight into the magic and genius of Jennie Fresa. Jennie Fresa is a certified health coach, Reiki practitioner, holistic esthetician, and the founder of the Sixth House skincare line. For nearly 2 decades, she has been a trusted and sought-after esthetician on the Connecticut shoreline, known not just for her results, but for the way she cares for the whole person. Through her practice, her Sixth House skincare line, and her notebook on jenniefresa.com, Jennie invites us to slow down and reconnect with self-care in a more meaningful way, making her 2-week reset journey a beautiful fit for our radical self-care theme this week, and especially aligned as we head into Valentine's Day. We're so grateful to have you here, Jennie, and appreciate you reading your words from, I think it was October of 2025.
Good morning. Thank you, Christine, and everyone for having me and allowing me to share in this sacred space this morning.
Thanks, Jennie.
This entry is titled Inflammation, Hormones, and Healing, my 2-week reset journey. I knew something was off. My energy dipped, my skin flared, and my mood felt off. I had a suspicion that it was probably fluctuating hormones, or as I've now learned, perimenopausal symptoms. After several months of dealing with a slew of symptoms, ranging from hot flashes and weight gain to restless sleep and mood swings, I decided I needed to take charge of what was happening in my body. I started by scheduling an appointment with my OBGYN, who gave me 3 options. By the way, I spent a total of 6 minutes in her office. I did not feel seen or heard. Option 1, estrogen, HRT. Option 2, Veoza, a non-hormonal prescription medicine used to treat hot flashes and night sweats caused by menopause and used as an alternative to hormone replacement therapy. Option 3, an antidepressant. I wasn't overly enthusiastic about any of the options, so I decided to consult with a naturopathic doctor recommended by a friend. I should probably also mention, I'm not opposed to HRT or an antidepressant. I understand that the studies now show that the pros outweigh the cons, and many women are having great success using HRT. I'm just not ready to go there yet. After a thorough 90-minute visit with my naturopath, I walked out feeling seen and heard. I loved her whole person approach, which as a holistic esthetician, I aim to do for my clients as well. This really resonated. We decided to prioritize my sleep hygiene because without proper sleep, the body cannot function and properly restore itself. She also suggested some dietary changes and that I focus on hydration to support my liver, which is probably working in overdrive because I'm not drinking as much water as I should. I loved her tip of herbal tea counting as water intake. That makes things a little easier. Lastly, she sent me for some blood work, which once we get the results, we can work on a deeper level to combat any deficiencies or imbalances, or at that point, even consider HRT if I felt up to it. It's funny because everything she asked me to do are things I've done in the past with simple tools that I already have available. The missing piece is that I wasn't being consistent. And we all know that consistency is key for any type of progress. It was a great reminder. So I walked out feeling empowered and ready to tackle my symptoms and optimize my overall health. Here's what I did. I tried a 2-week anti-inflammatory reset. I eliminated from the following from my diet: processed foods, alcohol, sugar, gluten, and dairy. In addition to removing these 5 things from my diet, I also focused on making sure that I ate 30 grams of protein with every meal and drank 84 ounces of water daily with the added bonus of electrolytes, plus 30 minutes of movement daily, and I'm planning to do some strength training too. To improve my sleep hygiene, I started being more diligent with my bedtime ritual. For example, going to bed and waking up at the same time daily. I also started taking the following supplements, which were recommended by my naturopath. Magnesium glycinate for better sleep, a cortisol manager, which actually is ashwagandha and L-theanine to lower stress, and a product called Feminescence Pro to balance my hormones. This is actually maca. After only 7 days, I felt a tremendous difference in how I was feeling. Less bloating, more energy. I definitely had better sleep, but I was still waking up at 3 a.m., but getting back to sleep much easier. I had glowing skin. That was a big win. I think I'll continue this plan for a while longer. This experience has been a huge reminder. I don't have to overhaul my life. Small shifts can create big results, and food is medicine. It's information. I stand by it. Also, I always tell my clients to consult with their doctor to get blood work done, but I do want to point out that everything that I've shared today is helpful for anyone to try. You don't even have to be in peri or menopause to try this reset. If you're curious or you simply want to start living a healthier lifestyle, try 1 or 2 swaps this week. I'm always amazed at what my body tells me when I start listening. Thank you.
Jennie, oh my gosh, thank you. And I just want to say really quickly, I really appreciate the words that you've put down for everyone to hear, but also then to hear them in your own voice. And then also, I just want to make mention that Jennie actually put go-to recipes for her reset online, which are linked on the Substack. Or you can just go to her notebook on jenniefresa.com and search it that way too. They're really, really great recipes. So that's a really a real valid way to really start a reset. And Jennie, you mentioned your energy dipped and like your skin flared and you just weren't feeling right. But how did you really know it was time to listen instead of just pushing through? Like, what was that piece that made you say, I can't just ignore it?
Sure. To be honest, it really wasn't just the fatigue or the flushing. It was a deeper message that was urging me to pause and reflect and listen. We talked a lot earlier. I noticed several people mentioned intuition, and I think that's what it was. It was learning to listen to my body. It's become a priority on this whole journey. Once I learned to listen to my body, I felt like I was more connected to what the needs were. Then you can realize that pushing through only means ignoring what your body is actually trying to tell you.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, you're being seen, right? You're for yourself, you know. And when you were doing this for 2 weeks, is there anything that what surprised you most about your body's response? Was it either physically, emotionally, or energetically?
Yeah. I mean, all of the things, physically, emotionally, and energetically. But ultimately, the reset reminded me that simple changes make a big difference. It deepened my understanding of how my emotions directly influence my physical well-being. This is something that I hadn't really considered. And as someone who helps women look and feel their best as a living, it was a really big wake-up call to go deeper with myself and in my treatments. We must all learn to pause and rest and calm our nervous system, because it's directly related to how well we age and how well we heal.
Right. Um, so as I'm hearing you, um, you're a health coach, you're a holistic esthetician, you're a business owner. So you're deeply tuned into wellness. And was there anything about this reset that challenged what you thought you already, quote unquote, knew? I know you kind of just answered that maybe a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
tell us a little more.
Yeah. I don't know so much about challenge, but it certainly reaffirmed a few things for me. Um, for example, even though when I got the lab results back, I'm not celiac. Um, Cutting gluten out of my diet for me personally um, just makes me feel so much better. I mean, there's just so much less bloat, and there's just an overwhelming feeling of being lighter. And then, when you really start digging around, you realize that gluten isn't really an essential nutrient for survival in the human body. And so it kind of makes sense.
Right, right.
So,
Um, Sorry, go ahead.
no, that was, I think it was just really more about reaffirming things than it was, you know, feeling like anything challenged
Yeah.
what I had already known. Yeah.
Well, I love when you say too, like, I stand by it about food is medicine. Like, that felt really like that affirmation of what you had felt.
Yes, it's,
Yeah.
food is medicine, but it more importantly, it's information.
Right.
Um, and so when we think about foods from that perspective, like what kind of information do we want to give to our body? Same thing
Mm,
with our minds, right? Our
mhm.
words, our actions, these affirmations, they're so powerful because we're we're bringing that energy inside of ourselves.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. Um, and you also speak so beautifully about inflammation and hormones being messengers. Um,
Mm,
what do you think is the biggest misunderstanding people have when it comes to these signals from their body?
sure. Yeah, this is a tough one because I think, unfortunately, the misunderstanding is often created by sort of cultural things or even a little bit from our medical professionals who immediately jump to treating the symptoms instead of the root causes. And that was my experience with going to my first doctor, who just immediately got right into like treating here are all the things you can do to treat those symptoms.
Right.
She really didn't ask me about anything else in my life.
Mm,
And so I think that's a real misfortune. But, our skin is just such an amazing organ, and it's a true reflection of what's happening inside the body, especially the gut. And a lot of times we tend to look at, we listen to these outside sources, whether it's, our doctors and or just, social media these days. And
right.
we look at all these
TikTok.
external factors and products and, oh, my best friend is using this amazing, whatever it is. We tend to do that before we do the hard work of looking at ourselves.
Mm, yeah.
So it was a good reminder. It was a good reminder to be my own advocate for my body and to keep digging and to keep learning.
Right. And, you know, it changes, right? Like you said, like
Yes,
being perimenopause or menopause or not even, being adolescent or being in whatever, like it always is
wherever you are.
changing, So it's not this like, it's a continuum constantly, And I
Absolutely.
I wish, like, I have younger daughters, and I'm hoping that they recognize that self-advocacy, that you just
Mhm.
spoke about, because I don't think that was something that was around, years ago. Um, and I think the medical profession has sort of changed, um, or is changing in that way. For example, not to give you too much information, but I was able to find a doctor here where we live now who she is an OBGYN, but she specializes in menopause, and you book a session with her for menopause only.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
it it it's at least 45 minutes, if not more. And I don't, and quite frankly, Jenny, I read your um, post, and that's kind of what started me thinking like there has to be a better way to do this. And then magically, things started showing up. Um,
Mm.
I went to this conference about that. Um, and that's where I met the doctor. And so it's so interesting, like when you become aware, like you said, like,
Yes.
um, and putting that in there, that things start to sort of show up. And actually, I think it was Kelly on the call that said, I wish that we could talk about this more, this
Mm.
perimenopause thing. And then your blog showed up too. So it was like, you know, I just, I think it's when you start to be aware,
Yeah. Yes.
that,
And I agree. The tide is definitely turning, and I do feel like, for your daughters and this generation coming up now, they're going to be more specialized treatments and functional medicine doctors, and so we're on the path.
right. Yeah. Um, and then, I'm just wondering, for someone that's on the call right now, or someone in our community that listens to the recording later, who feels maybe overwhelmed by the idea of a reset, because like that's kind of a
Mm.
big word. Um,
Yeah.
but you know, what's like one gentle, realistic place you'd suggest to begin, especially kind of in the spirit of that idea of radical self-care, of listening to your body? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Mm. Well, I love this question because it's so important to understand that you can make one simple decision, something so small like starting your day with a glass of lemon water first thing
Mm,
in the morning, or telling yourself you're going to go to bed 1 hour earlier each night. Even those small changes over time will make a huge difference. So if the whole reset is feeling a little daunting, try starting with just keeping a food journal for a few weeks.
mm,
You know,
right.
jot down everything that you know, eat, and make a little list of notes next to things, and pay attention to anything that changes in your body and your mood and your skin. Just make little notes, and then go back and kind of see if you can notice any patterns. You might
Yeah.
find that you come to your own realization on things, and perhaps that might actually motivate you to even giving the reset a try after you do a food journal for a few weeks. And quite honestly, you don't have to do a 2-week reset if that feels too much. You can do it for one day. You could do it for 3 days. You could try a 1 week reset.
Right, right. Yeah, no, that's really smart. I also loved what you said, something that when you were reading it, it hit me about going to bed consistently. So your doctor said you're going to sleep and waking up consistent was a way to kind of create a
Yes.
um, better sleep, right? I guess.
This has to do with our circadian rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you wake up in the morning, this is why sunlight is so vital, because getting that sunlight directly on our face and on our body first thing in the morning helps your circadian rhythm set. It helps to create the melatonin that gets you the sleep later in the day.
Wow.
So getting your body on that rhythm
Mm.
might take some time, but eventually you're going to get that deeper, more restorative type of sleep that the body needs to repair itself.
That's so cool. Did she say anything about a recommended time to go to bed, or was it that sort of individualized, would you say?
Um, well, I know from my time in schooling, it's usually recommended for, an adult to have about an average of 7 to 8 hours um, a night is usually the recommended amount.
Right.
But the timing is up to you. You
Right.
could, again, listen to your body, something I've become really attuned to is just I'm most creative and energetic in the morning hours.
Right.
Something I thought for a long time. Now I work around that.
Right.
I love to wake up, so I'll wake up a little earlier and then go to bed a little earlier, and that works for me, but it can be whatever works for you
Yeah,
as long as you're getting solid sleep. Yeah.
no, that makes total sense.
What do you know, Kirby? I'm waiting for it to dry outside. You can't go out there until it dries.
So I'm looking at the clock. We have a little bit more time, maybe about 4 minutes or so. So I'm going to open up the floor to you guys. I don't know if after, hearing Jennie's experience, if anyone feels comfortable sharing like an insight from Jennie's journey that you might feel inspired to explore or try for yourself. Or is there like one small area where your body might be asking for a little more care or attention right now? Like, I don't know if anyone's willing to talk about that, but it might be cool. So I'm just going to open the floor or the call because we're not really all together.
Thank you, Jennie, for sharing. Oh, that was awesome. Thank you. I have a question for you.
Sure.
The lemon water, do you have it hot or cold or room temperature in the morning?
So ideally room temperature. You don't want anything too cold or too hot. Just a room temperature, little fresh lemon. Helps to kickstart your digestive system, kind of gives your liver a little extra hold and support to flush things through.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, Jennie. I always try to do water, but I'm going to add the lemon. I can just leave
lemons are so beautifully detoxifying.
And I'm thinking I could just leave it at my bedside and then squeeze it in once.
I love that.
Right?
I'm always telling people, look for the ways that it works for you.
Right.
Well, for example, with like my supplements, I was noticing that I had them hidden because I had this thing about keeping messy things on my countertop.
Yeah.
And I wasn't consistent because they weren't, out of sight, out of mind. So once I decided to order myself this cute little Lazy Susan spinny thing and make it look pretty, because I love for things to always look aesthetically pretty, I realized, oh my gosh, okay, now I'm going to be more consistent. So yes, if you can put it on your nightstand and have it right there ready for you, and that simplifies the whole thing, that's the trick.
Yeah. Cool.
Great idea, Christine. Thank you.
Plus, it'll probably taste really good too. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Hi. I just wanted to share that I'm on this journey now. Was thrown into menopause. Well, I'm believing just from the symptoms after chemo, and I'm in the process of talking both to the gynecologist and my integrative doctor. Has a female who specializes just in that, who I was seeing before cancer. So now I'm like, okay, back to that, and I have to make the decision because, of course, therapist recommends psychiatry and they want to do meds. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting all these things thrown at me. I have to be the one to make that decision.
Yes.
It's tough. It's a tough journey. So I have the horrible brain fog, and I know you said like you have a website or something, like I can just look at that to remember everything you were talking about today.
Yes. Christine mentioned on my website I have a blog, so I did list Everything I talked about on today's call is on there. In addition to that, there are several recipes to help out. If anybody wants to snag those, feel free.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, the recipes, I think one of the sections is about protein, how to get all that protein that you need, which can be daunting.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you had asked me about challenges, and that might have been the one.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That might have been the one. 30, it doesn't seem like a lot, but 30 grams of protein, I have to admit, I'm still a little shaky on that one. It is a little challenging, but that was what prompted me to want to put those recipes together, because if I can help make it a little easier, where you could sneak it in here and there, any little bit helps. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I'm with you too. And the other thought I had too, when someone else was talking, it was about with doctors, if you don't feel, at least for me, if I've learned that if I don't feel seen and heard by those all these doctors that you have lined up, I go to find someone else, and when I did go to that conference recently, and that OBGYN said, make an appointment especially for just menopause, like you don't need just to have 6 minutes, like you said, Jenny. And that's what you should be given, you should be given the time. And so I think, if it's not happening, I'll have to find someone else. You're not obligated. I'm not obligated just to deal with the doctors that I'm, I've known, if you will, or have helped.
Right.
So, and it's like kind of like they should all work in tandem anyway. It's not just or that, right?
Exactly. I'll add to that, actually, because this comes up in conversation quite a bit. In a perfect world, they would work in tandem. That would be the most ideal situation. But I want to point out that it doesn't have to be this or that.
Right.
You could do both.
Yep.
What I realized when I walked away from that 6-minute appointment was I need to kind of create my own little care team that's a combination of doctors and caretakers. And I think a lot of times people get caught up in do I go down this path or do I go down this path? You could easily figure out, as long as you are feeling seen and heard and getting proper care, you can figure out a really beautiful combination of both. I just wanted to add that in.
Yeah. That's, Jenny, that's a really beautiful thought, because I think that's true about everything. It's always an and situation, right? You don't have to do one or the other. Look to add and not subtract, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if we have like about a minute left, if anyone wants to say anything.
Can I just add one thing?
Yes, of course.
You were asking about, like, how did you know it was time to seek help? And the suggestion would be, how much is your life being affected by what's going on, by feeling? If it's just a little bit and it's like not really bothering you and doesn't keep you from doing things and having a full life, and fine. But if it's impacting your life negatively to a large enough extent that you're like, I've had it, it's time to, that's what we say. Because I would always ask patients, why now? Like, why are you here?
Right.
And what's the motivation? And so just a thought, how much is it affecting?
Thank you. Thank you, Elise. And thank you, Jenny. I'm going to go ahead and close, I think, the call. I just want everyone to know, if you are interested in learning more about Jenny, her website is Jennie Fresa, That's fresa.com. And it's your website, Jennie, is just like a font of knowledge too. It's really a beautiful space to spend time in. So it's like
Thank
her
you.
it's like her salon, her spa too. But if you can't get there, her website is just as beautiful and just as informative too. So